But yeah, what I was just saying is I'm just so happy to be here with all of you, especially like the people who have been here since day one. Oh my God. And today is just really, really special because today we are working with this incredible goddess, Ceridwen, and she really is going to be bringing through the magic of enchantment. And, I can't tell you just how dear Ceridwen is to my heart. And so before we get started, I want to give you like a deep dive, like introduction into Ceridwen, but I'm also just curious if people want to place in the chat if you guys are familiar. Oh, yes, I want to say, yeah, Ceridwen is my girl. Yes, I just want to know how many people really know about Ceridwen and how many people are new to her. So if you can put in the chat, okay, Pamela, not familiar at all. Okay, you are in for a treat because she is so much fun. She actually, you're going to see that this is a goddess that's a little bit intimidating when you first connect with her, but she has so much love for you. Oh my God. Okay, so Michelle, you know her a bit. Bernadette, yes, I know. Bernadette's like, I know Ceridwen. Oh my goodness. So I think there was one other person, VR Spencer, who is brand new. Okay. So I'm just curious if you can put in the chat, or if anyone wants to take themselves off mute, what does enchantment mean to you? I'm just curious if any of you, like when you think of enchantment, what does that word inspire in you? And you guys, like, don't worry, I've got a lot to say. So I'm just curious. I'm gonna give you guys a second to put that in the chat. And if not, like if anyone is like a little bit shy, I will just launch into all of the magic that we have planned for today. So one thing, while you guys are writing that in the chat, I do want to say that I think that enchantment means different things to different people. So when some people connect with the energy of enchantment, it's more of that kind of like the enchantress who uses the magic and beauty of her voice, to really lure, to lure people to her, to lure different opportunities. And so that really is a kind of enchantment. But what we're really here today to focus on is the enchantment of words. And so that is a very special kind of enchantment. And so I'm going a little bit ahead in my, I have a whole presentation for us today, but we're going to be working with a very magical, kind of Celtic energy that really is the primal magic of words today. And so let me just see in the chat because I see some of you are writing here. Okay, so Pamela, you wrote enchantment reminds you of sirens, but less sinister in its intent. Yes, I understand. Michelle, you have, being taken over by feelings of joy, but it can also mean enthralled by magic. Yes, I really like that, enthralled. And let me just see, I think there are like two other people. Oh, Ranve, it reminds me of the elves and how they bring back the beauty and magic to the world, or back to whatever person is being enchanted. I absolutely love this. And then Venus, you wrote working in synchronicity with the unseen. These are all beautiful answers. And I just went to the bottom of the chat again. I want to come back to like the one that Michelle wrote, being taken over by feelings of joy and also enthralled. So it's interesting. So when I was really sitting, with the powers that be, with Ceridwen, to try to figure out what wanted to come through today, I was like, what is enchantment? And so one of the things that I've learned, I actually have a lot of things that I want to share today, but I do feel that enchantment by its very nature is unknowable. So it's one of those things that it is a mysterious force that it compels us, it enthralls us, it makes us lean in. And so in that sense, it's kind of magnetic. It really is a magnetic force. And I was really tapping into like kind of like the vision of like what is enchantment. What was shown to me on one level was almost like a planet that has that gravitational pull. And so it's really like when we are standing as the enchanter or the enchantress, we are that great being with this real beautiful, powerful magnetic pull, really pulling people like closer. And so if you really think about enchantment, if someone has an enchanting voice, or an enchanting presence, we lean into them and, we lean in. And so really like what I'm talking about there is that kind of gravitational pull. But then the more I sat with the energy, it kind of is almost like for us to really fully open to the enchantment. Yes, like there's that first magic that pulls us in, but there needs to be substance behind the enchantment for it to be lasting. And so I, would look at this in terms of love, because I really see that, falling in love really is an act of high magic. And so when we first like fall in love, there is this great period of enchantment. There's like this explosion of feeling and emotion. And, then there's a certain period where the enchantment will wear off if there isn't greater substance behind it, if there isn't greater depth. And that's part of why I'm really excited to introduce, like I said, the goddess that we're working with today is Ceridwen, because she is the goddess who tends the cauldron of inspiration. And so the cauldron of inspiration, it's like a cauldron that it's ever plentiful. There is no shortage of inspiration. And Ceridwen tends this cauldron. And in this cauldron, really like what is contained inside is all manner of the mystery of the universe, is all of the depth of the mystery itself. So the enchantment, there is that initial kind of pull, something that like draws us and entrances us. But then Ceridwen, the way that I really feel her as a goddess, and I know that you guys who came today, I think you might have seen the picture I have of Ceridwen, and we're actually going to pull that up in a moment. But she's the one that really had she had that beautiful cloak over her eyes, and so when we think of like almost that kind of witch energy, really Ceridwen is the figure that comes to mind. And it's funny because so Ceridwen is traditionally, she is a Welsh figure. And so in ancient Wales, there actually is no word for witch. And I want to say this because there was nothing unusual in ancient Wales, about someone being a magical person, because wherever you walked in the ancient world, there was magic around every corner, and magic was only a hair's breadth away. So we might think, well, that was ancient Wales. That was, it's, almost 1,000, 2,000 years ago. But imagine if you walked outside your front door and you felt that same experience of wonder and enchantment. And I know that people usually feel that when they go into nature and they'll see like a deer cross their path, or they'll see like a magical like mushroom in the woods. But what if you just went to the grocery store and felt that experience of enchantment? What if you went to your kitchen and you see, oh my God, like my sink is like spouting water. Look how magical. If you could start to see the world through the eyes of enchantment, it would be a glorious place. And so that's like one of the things that we're really going to be working with today. And we're also, of course, going to be tying this into our creations, into our writing. But really, when I was connecting with Ceridwen and I was really going deep, like what wants to come through today? Like I said, there's that kind of enchantment where we're really acting as like that kind of siren and pulling people toward us. But really, the magic of Ceridwen is giving us eyes to see. And it was so funny when I was really tapping into Ceridwen's energy, the figure that kept coming through for me was Mary Poppins. And so that was the funniest thing, because Ceridwen is like, I showed you the image, she's got like the cloak and she looks like kind of formidable and serious. And then like Mary Poppins has got the umbrella and she's like this bundle of sunshine. But the thing with Mary Poppins, I'm sure most of you have seen the movie, or if, I mean, I feel like most people are familiar with Mary Poppins. What she did was she brought magic, to the ordinary world. And she reminds people to see through the eyes of enchantment once again. So really, that's the whole thing. It's having eyes to see that which is already there. And so let me just see. I have someone coming in the chat. Oh, Venus, you say, I do see the world is enchanted. That is why living in 3D is rough at times, because you're weird. I understand. I think that's kind of what happens. And that's also, I don't want to spoil what's coming next, but Ceridwen is going to be working with us. I'm spoiling it because I think it's important. We're actually going to be making a special potion with Ceridwen. And this is a drop to dissolve disenchantment. And this really came through, because what's happened for a lot of us is we, especially everyone here, you want to be here. Hold on, let me just mute everyone. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So you're here because you already have a heart that is open to the mysteries of enchantment. But when we're in this kind of, world where like there are bad things that happen, it's like we have to kind of release. I really feel like there's a veil of disenchantment. And Ceridwen is here today to really help us dissolve this veil of disenchantment so we can fully open and really not care about the people that try to rain on our parade. Because that's the whole thing, is we're the ones that are going to create beauty and magic in the world. And not that, of course, that other people don't have beautiful things that they're here to contribute. But that's the thing, is anyone here, everything, like the way that I'm kind of seeing it, it's like, think about like a seed that you plant. And when you have a heart that is alive with magic, you can, like, literally everywhere you go, every word that you utter, every conversation that you have, you are planting seeds of magic in the world. And that is because you are tapped in to that primary, like that primary energy of yourself as the enchantress, as the wielder of magic. And that's the thing that, you know, I know we're going to do a presentation. I'm actually going to tell you a lot more about Ceridwen, but right now, don't worry about Ceridwen so much as the archetype of the enchantress. And what does that archetype, the enchantress, what does that feel like to you? And so if anyone wants to put that in the chat, I'd love to kind of just hear what you guys are thinking. But really the thing with, like, when I think of the enchantress, it's someone who has no doubt in their power to have an impact in the world. And so that's the whole thing, is like, really, I feel like when we come into the energy of enchantment and being the enchantress or the enchanter, yes, we are sowing little seeds of magic, but we've also come back to the full knowing that we are beings of great power. And so that's what I feel like. I think that that's part of So Ceridwen we're going to meet her shortly. She is a powerful being. Not that the other two goddesses we worked with, Bridget and Saraswati, were not powerful. But when you meet Ceridwen, it's like you become anchored into your power. It's almost like she has a very earthy energy. And like when you meet her, it's like an activation where you cannot come out the other side, but be transformed in the reclamation of your true power. And so one thing that came through for me on day one, and I forgot to share it because it was actually related to Bridget, but I think that it's actually more helpful for me to say it now. So about it was like a year and a half ago, it was an online event. It was a celebration of Imbolc, and it was all about the goddess Bridget. And I had like all different speakers come in to talk about Bridget and share their expertise. And one of the people I got was a beautiful channel from Maya Francis. And Maya Francis, I went to Maya and I approached her and I was like, do you think that you could channel Bridget? Because Maya is like an epic channel. And so it's like, yes, like Bridget said, yes, Bridget will be the channel. And like, she'll lend her voice to your events. And so of course I have all of these questions, really about, like how we can work with Bridget to have more creativity in our lives. And I'm so excited. And the big message that the goddess literally was like, I actually was resistant to this when it was coming through. But like what Bridget was saying was, you and we are no different. Because I was like talking to Bridget, this is like, again, like this friend of mine was channeling the great goddess, and I was there asking questions. And, I'm there thinking, I'm putting Bridget on this pedestal. I'm like thinking like, oh, you're this great goddess, you're on this pedestal. And her message was, you are just as divine. You are just as magical, just as powerful as me. You have only to recognize that, come into that knowing and claim it in the world. And so that is really Ceridwen's message too. So when we work with Ceridwen, she's really the initiatrix. She is initiating us into our power. And that really is true magic. And so let me just see, I know people are like, I know the chat's blowing up a little bit here. I was someone said Imbolc was my first experience with you. Yes, I know that was that was one of my favorite days. And someone else wrote, claim it. Yes. Someone else wrote, the enchantress is powerful. Yes. And so, yeah, that's part of what I wanted to say here. And, because the enchantress, you're wielding the power. Oh, someone else is writing here. I'm so excited. Let's see. Aranve, you said, Bridget said something similar to you in meditation on day one. You bowed your head and she was like, oh no, you're just as powerful as I. Yes, that is what we're talking about here. Because that's the thing, is when you start to connect with these goddesses, like, even though like, I want to say that I think intellectually, we all know, like, especially everyone here, we're aware of this truth that we are divine. But I think that we think there's a hierarchy of divinity. And we don't realize that this whole universe, this whole creation, this is a magical creation. Think of the fact that there's water and sands and earth and fire. How did this come to be from nothing? And so the way that I see it, I see that there is magic in every atom in this universe, and not just this universe, but beyond. And so we are such stuff, as dreams are made of, we are such stuff as makes up all of creation. So it's tapping into yourself in your full divinity, in your full power. And that is how you anchor into the magic of the enchantress. And when you're anchored in that power, your words take on they take on new levels of power and potency in the world. So let me just see, because I feel like I'm just so excited to talk about, Claudine, you wrote ourselves vibrant with magic. Yes, I believe that. And I think that's why when we go into these activations, we feel that happening. And it just it resonates with us so deeply on a soul level. So I'm going to be talking forever about, Ceridwen, because I love her so much. But before we do that, I want to light our candle for today. And so for those of you who have candles, amazing. Claudine, I see your candle. Sydney, I see your candle. If you don't have one, don't worry. These candles are all being lit for every single one of you in spirit. And so today, into the sacred space, we are calling in, oh my goodness, the beauty of the goddess Ceridwen to anchor us in our magic, in the fierce fires of enchantment. Oh my goodness, please pour your wisdom into this space, that every single one of us may be activated and transformed. And if you have any special prayers you want to pour into your candle, just send those thoughts into the candle. And I'm going to light it for you and also for everyone on the replay as well. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. I have to be careful because I get really emphatic and excited and I have to remember that there's a candle. But yes, okay, so I'm just so excited, and I'm not sure if I should call Ceridwen in now, but I think, okay, now I'm going to wait a second. Let's actually go to the slides. So those of you who are not familiar with her, I really want to make sure that you have an intellectual kind of understanding more about this goddess and where she fits into today. So let's see. Hold on. My wonderful assistant is getting the presentation ready. Let's see. So this is day 3, enchantment. Hold on, everyone. Thanks for your patience. Okay, beautiful. So we have day 3, enchantment. Okay, so Ceridwen, goddess of enchantment. So this is a little bit of the legend of Ceridwen. There are other places where I really tell this story in detail, but for today, I want to just give you a quick overview. So Ceridwen is the sorceress and goddess whose magic potion turned a simple boy into the greatest storyteller in all the land. His name was Taliesin, and he was forever changed by just 3 drops of Ceridwen's potion. For it had been brewed in an enchanted cauldron, simmering for a year and a day, until it became a concoction of pure wisdom and endless magic. Hold on. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you. So when you work with Ceridwen's cauldron of inspiration, so the potion, this magical potion of great wisdom and inspiration, was brewed in Ceridwen's cauldron. And so when you work with Ceridwen's cauldron, you, like Taliesin, will be transformed. And so here, the bards are the storytellers of old. The bards have worked with Ceridwen for thousands of years. And so you can invoke this great goddess and call her in before you begin your writing or storytelling, and your words will become enchanted. And so you can see from the picture here that she really is, there is a mystery to her. There is a solemnity to her, but really that's kind of her exterior. She kind of reminds me I don't know how to say, like someone who like when you first meet them, they're kind of like they're like a tough cookie. They're a bit of a tough cookie. And then you get to know them and you see that there's just so much warmth and so much love. And Ceridwen really aspires for levels of excellence. That's the word that's coming through. So when you work with Ceridwen as a writer, or like really when you're trying to like call inspiration into any area of your life, she will push you. She will push you to high levels of inspiration and high levels of excellence, because she knows your power and potential, and she will not let you settle for anything less than your best. So she is an epic goddess to work with. Can I see the next slide, please? Thank you. So sacred alchemy. So are you open to tending your own creative cauldron? So I love this image of Ceridwen here with her cauldron. And so this is a phrase that came through me a couple years ago. Inspiration is active surrender. And on day one, we really talked about becoming a channel. And really just like, it's this active surrender and just letting the magic of ages pour through. And another thing, so this is about enchantment in our everyday world. Enchantment and inspiration is about following the breadcrumbs one at a time and welcoming magic into your life every day. So open your heart to Ceridwen and you'll find your words, your stories simmering with the magic and mystery of the divine. So I'm just going to check. I know that someone wrote in the chat. Let me just see. I think Claudine, you said, oh, alchemy, the alchemist came to you earlier regarding Ceridwen. Yes, Ceridwen is the master alchemist. And I think there might be one more slide before we go into our first journey. Okay, so here we go. So are you ready? Okay, so are you ready to sip Ceridwen's mighty elixir to become a magical storyteller? And so when I say that, it doesn't mean that you have to go out and like become like, you have to become a novelist or you have to become a playwright. But no, every single one of us is a storyteller. If you go to, the grocery store and you run into someone and they ask like, how was your day? You start telling a story. Like to me, stories make up the fabric of reality. And so when you work with Ceridwen, you'll see that your words, by their very nature, the stories that you tell, they're imbued with a very special kind of magic. And one thing that I feel called to say about the magic of stories is that stories are alive. And you'll notice this because do you ever have a story that like you might have like the same story and you tell it to 5 different people. And every time you tell it, it comes out slightly differently. And that's because the story is alive and it channels through you and comes through you exactly the way that that person needs to hear it. So I really want to say that, like, I really want to kind of bring that idea, to your consciousness, to your awareness, that stories, that writing, like that it's an alive, that there's something really potent about it. And, one of my good friends here, I know that she's on this call. She would write fiction. And I know that she would always say that like her favorite part is that when she would be writing, all of a sudden the characters would do something that surprised her. And it's just like all of a sudden the characters took on a life of their own. It's like, oh, I can't believe they wanted to do that. I can't believe they wanted to say that. And so that's really when we become like, really, we open our heart to our creations fully and completely and see them as having their own life. So that's just something I wanted to say. And so I'm just going to finish this slide before we go into our first meditation. But here I have, in the Celtic world, words without inspiration held no enchantment. So when I say that, that inspiration, it's just like that ineffable force that we talked about yesterday. It's like the divine coming through you. So it's really opening up to inspiration and knowing that inspiration and enchantment go hand in hand. And so here we have inspiration was necessary for words to be imbued with magic. And so I think that's it for our presentation for right now. We're going to come back to it later. So if you can stop the share, thank you. Okay, beautiful. So I was just reading in the chat, like someone said, like they felt initiated by Saraswati when they felt initiated in their power by Saraswati. Yes, I think that Saraswati, I feel like she has, like for me yesterday, I really felt that energy of like the teacher come through for me, because, Saraswati really is mistress of knowledge and education. So I think that she initiates all of us exactly where we need to be met. And what I love, I'm sure you guys have noticed this, is I love working with these goddesses all together, because I think that each of them really brings a certain frequency. They bring a certain nuance, to the magic, of our creative practice. So anyway, that's all I want to say for right now. Before we go into like today's first activation, I'm just wondering, do you guys have any questions about Ceridwen? Is there anything that you would like to know about her? And if not, it's okay. I just know that not everyone was familiar with her. Oh, and so I'm just reading a little bit more from the chat. Claudine, you said to be the enchantress is to be the embodiment of pure magic, beauty, joy, receptivity, and magnetism. Yes. And I just love that you use that word embodiment, because really that's what it's all about. And let's see, is there anyone else? Oh, Jennifer, you wrote curious about her origin story. Did I? Okay, let's see. When did you write that? Okay. So I don't want to go into too much of it here, but I can just say that Ceridwen is, she's a goddess from like ancient Wales. And originally, like, she's been kind of made into a goddess now, but originally she was just the most powerful enchantress in the lands. And so, many fear the great enchantress Ceridwen. I'll tell you guys a little bit. So, what happens is, so Ceridwen ends up having two children, and she has one daughter. Her name is like Seraphi, and she is the most beautiful girl, and she is like as beautiful as the morning sun. But she has another child, Afgu, who she thinks is as ugly, as darkness itself. And not only does she find him not pleasing in appearance, but she does not think that he has a lot of, intellect or a lot of wit. And Ceridwen agonizes over this. And she says, I must find a way, to give my son better prospects in this world, for he will never be accepted, by the bards, of the king's court. If I don't find some way to improve his wit and his eloquence in speech. So what Ceridwen does, and this is wanting to come through, is she decides that she is going to use her magic to brew a mighty potion. And so this potion is a potion of inspiration. And so she actually brews this potion for a year and a day. And there's a lot more of the story that I don't want to go into now. But basically, Ceridwen is famous for brewing the potion, the Draught of Inspiration. And as I shared a little bit in the slides earlier, someone who gets to drink of this potion is the Bard Taliesin. And so again, I keep using this word bard, and I know maybe you guys aren't all familiar, but I say like the bards were the storytellers of old. And so when we talk about storytelling in the ancient bardic tradition, the bards, this was all oral storytelling. This was word of mouth. And so a lot of this was the magic of ages that was passed from one generation of bards to the next. And so really they contained and preserved the magic of the spoken word. And so here in today's world, we don't really do the same thing with words as the bards did once upon a time, but we can still tap in to their magic. And so when you connect with Ceridwen, you're not just connecting with the goddess herself, but Ceridwen is always seen as the mother of bards. So when you connect with Ceridwen, you are connecting with actually all of the great storytellers that have come before. It's like Ceridwen really is holding the energy of the lineage of great Welsh storytellers and all of the magic of the ancient world. So when you connect with her, you're not just connecting with her, like I said, in this modern moment, but you're connecting to the age of, the age gone by. You're connecting to a time long ago where magic was seen in every tree branch, where there was just magic on the wind. And I'm just so excited for us to really call Ceridwen into this space in a moment, and for you to really start feeling that magic for yourself. So without further ado, we're going to start our first meditation, but I want to call Ceridwen into this space. And before that, I just saw there was something in the chat. Let's see, Venus, she wrote Taliesin. Yes, I mentioned Taliesin as one of the great master bards and storytellers. So he has initiation through the elements. Yes, after drinking from the cauldron of inspiration. So yes, like this is a very ancient Welsh story. And so even though we're not going into the full story here today, this is something that you're going to experience. Like you're going to experience Ceridwen's magic. By the end of our call today, this is going to be something that you internalize on the deepest level of your being, because Ceridwen doesn't mess around, and you can't meet with her in passing. You can only meet with her and be transformed. So without further ado, I'm going to cast the sacred circle. So I cast the circle around me and all of the beautiful participants here for the 3-day sacred writing challenge. Everyone here live and on the replay, casting the circle to create a space beyond space and time beyond time. I cast this circle to block out all energies and spirits that are not allies of ours. I cast this circle that all energies raised herein remain confined. As above, so below, as within, so without, the circle is sealed. Beautiful. And into the sacred space, I call Ceridwen, great goddess of enchantment and inspiration. Make your presence known. I also call in the lineages of master storytellers and bards from the ancient Welsh, like the ancient Welsh culture, the ancient Welsh tradition, the old ways, calling in Taliesin, the master bard. Lend your sacred magic to the space. And for those of you who were here on day one, I shared a really special concept, the concept of Awen. So at this point, you don't need to know, exactly what Awen is if you weren't here on day one, but I like to open, whenever I work with Ceridwen, I like to open by sounding the word Awen 3 times. And I'm going to explain more about this in a little bit, so just hang tight. And if you don't know what Awen is right now, just allow the vibration, the frequency of the word to wash over you. So here we go. Awen, Awen, Awen. And so just like feel that, not with your mind, but just experience it in the ether. Know that this is a word. It is a word of pure magic and enchantment, and it connects you to the heart of mystery itself. So this is a word that is very sacred to Ceridwen, and this word really is part of what makes her magic so potent. And I promise all of this is going to be revealed in a couple minutes. But for now, I invite you to just close your eyes. Just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And I invite you to see yourself in a forest. Up ahead in the sky, you see the most glorious moonlight. The moon is shining down so brightly, casting shadows everywhere you walk. There is a strange figure about 10 or 20 feet away from you. There's a moment of trepidation. You wonder who this mysterious figure might be, but yet something in you compels you forward. Something in your heart, the part of you that is so drawn by the magic of mystery itself, it compels you to head over to this mysterious figure. You get closer and you see the goddess Ceridwen standing before you in a long cloak. Get a good look at this goddess. Something about her may be a little intimidating at first, for she is not one to be trifled with. Yet in truth, she is very happy you are here. She has waited for you. She pulls back her hood, and you see her eyes shining with light, shining with the silver of the moon. There's a gray streak that runs through her hair. And as you look at her, she takes you by the hand and leads you through the forest to a small cottage in the distance. As you're walking with Ceridwen to this cottage in the distance, if you have not met her before, This is your moment to introduce yourself. Tell her who you are, what you're seeking, why you have come. Even if you're not sure, even if you're just here to be in the mystery, just because you're curious, let her know. She wants to know you just as much as you want to know her. More than that, she is so eager and so excited to share the mystery of enchantment with you. You walk further into the woods, and there you come upon the small cottage. On the outside, it doesn't look like much. It looks small. See how this cottage appears to you. Is it made of wood? Does it have a thatched roof? Inside, though, you see that there is some fire because you feel the warmth from even outside the door. You open the door, and there on the inside, the furniture is sparse, but you see a large black cauldron bubbling up. And you know at once that this is the mighty cauldron of Ceridwen. This is the cauldron that you have heard so much about in tales and legends. Why have you come here? She asks again. And you say, I have come here to learn the ways of enchantment. I have heard that you are a great teacher. Will you teach me, you ask? Will you teach me the ways of enchantment? She says, I would be only too happy to teach you. But first, before you can be enchanted, we must release all the disenchantment that you have experienced in your world. We must release all the disenchantment that sits in your heart. You live in a world of lies where people have convinced you that magic is not real. First, we must get rid of this belief, for even if you think you've eradicated it, there is still some seed within you that is holding on to this energy, this frequency of disenchantment. And here in this space, I'm here to help you release it once and for all, to step into the magic that is your truth, to know this magic on every level of your being. Are you ready to release this disenchantment once and for all? You nod. Ceridwen smiles and says, together, let us brew the draught to undo disenchantment. She gives you a huge spoon and tells you to stand over the cauldron and stir it. Little by little, Ceridwen gets things from the shelves of this cottage. She puts in seeds and flowers. She puts in all different ingredients that you suddenly see materialize before your eyes, ingredients that were not there a moment before. They're glass jars of all different magical ingredients. Take a look. What do you see on the shelves? And just notice the special ingredients that Ceridwen is putting into this draught of disenchantment. Know that this draught to dissolve this enchantment is unique to you. There are no standard ingredients here. This is a special potion to undo the spell of disenchantment, which has been placed over you. Only an enchantress as powerful as Ceridwen would be able to break this spell. And so here, she invites you to go over to her magical shelves, look at all the ingredients there before you, and see, is there anything that you want to place in this cauldron, really with the intention that this is a beautiful elixir that you are brewing. And when you take the first sip, you will lose all this enchantment that has plagued your heart. You will finally be free of it. What magical ingredients do you want to put in? And also really come into the intention, because it's not enough to just be here while Ceridwen is gathering the ingredients, but it's your divine intention, the power of your being, you're saying yes and opening to release this disenchantment once and for all. That is what is needed. That is the most important ingredient. Ceridwen smiles, for at last you understand. It is your desire and your will that are the final two ingredients of the potion. And so now she invites you to stand over the potion, hold the sides of the cauldron, and pour in your will and desire to be rid of the energy of disenchantment once and for all. And just let any emotions that come up, let them pour through. Feel this desire in your heart to release this disenchantment and know the world as the magical place it truly is. And just feel all the energy of disenchantment pouring out of you as you stand there holding the cauldron with your palms. Feel all of this energy, all of this old stuck energy move through your body, and actually raise your hands above the cauldron and let the energy pour into it. Just let all of that energy go in. Ceridwen stands there watching you with great love, reverence, and respect, seeing you as her equal. You stand there, and as you stand there with your hands over the cauldron, you feel the power of the fire, the flame, holding the beautiful cauldron together, the flame that warms and makes the sacred alchemy, the sacred magic possible. And you breathe in the beautiful air of this place, and you feel alive. You feel alive at last. At once, Ceridwen instructs you to remove your hands, for you have cast all of the disenchantment into the cauldron. And now it is her turn to take this huge wooden spoon and stir. And you watch the great goddess Ceridwen. You watch as she stirs all of this disenchantment that came from your heart, that came from the weariness of being in the ordinary world. And as she stirs, all of a sudden, the potion starts to bubble and froth and bubble and froth. And you know that there is something so powerful happening, that all of this disenchantment is really fading away, being alchemized, transmuted here in the space. At last, the potion turns a beautiful golden color, and all that was once disenchanted is transmuted. Ceridwen takes a goblet from one of her shelves, and she takes the goblet and brings it all the way into the cauldron. This is a potion of enchantment. All that was disenchanted has become alchemized. Please sip this mighty elixir. Sip this elixir and feel yourself once more as the enchanted being you were born to be. I invite you to really take this beautiful goblet that Ceridwen has handed you. Take it to your lips and drink this elixir of enchantment. And really bring this in. And again, the two ingredients are your desire and your will. Open fully, open your heart to experience enchantment. What Ceridwen is giving you in this potion is eyes to see. New eyes to see the world. A freedom in your heart to love fully, unconditionally, the way you once did. Ceridwen takes the goblet from your outstretched fingers and says, "It is time. I have someplace important to take you. There's somewhere we must go together." She takes your hand, and the two of you leave the cottage. You leave the cottage, and before, where it was dark, suddenly it is beautiful sunshine. The sun is shining down, and you see flowers in bloom. Ceridwen leads you further away from the cottage until you see a huge tree in the distance. And in the heart of this tree is a huge door that is actually sprung wide open. The door is sprung wide open, and inside this door, it's as if it's a gateway to another realm for you to see this most beautiful golden light. This place that Ceridwen is leading you to, this is the other world. This is the realm of pure enchantment. And once you go through the doorway, there is no going back. You walk with Ceridwen to this great tree with the door. She invites you to step through with her. The two of you hold hands. You stand at the precipice to this door, this great door leading you to the enchantment of the other worlds. And the two of you step through together. And now I invite you to just feel this energy of the other worlds, feel the magic, the enchantment of this place. You don't even need to see anything right now. Right now, just feel the energy. And I invite you to take a couple deep breaths. Take a couple deep breaths and come back to the room where you first began today's journey. And we're going to do a magical writing exercise. So if we can get the slides up, that would be fantastic. Hold on, everyone. I think it's back a ways. No, can you go back? Not here. This one. Thank you. So here is the door from our magic journey. And so I'd like you to write, where does the door go? So this is the doorway, the gateway to enchantment. Use your imagination to write about what's on the other side. And so I'm going to give you 7 minutes to do that. And I will give you a 5-minute warning, and just let your imagination run wild and just see what wants to come through. Remember, there's no right or wrong thing. This is a really open-ended prompt, but really come into the feeling sense of this place of enchantment. Okay, so 2-minute warning. You have 2 more minutes to keep writing. Okay, so I think time is up for right now. So if you guys want to come back, I'd love if anyone wants to share. Again, there's never any pressure to share. Oh, wait, no, please end the slideshow. Sorry. Thank you. Um, so if anyone wants to share, that would be amazing. But if not, it's okay. I got plenty for you today. And I know that like I promised I was going to try to keep this short. Like I don't want this to go over 2 hours, but I don't think it will. So that's why I'm just curious. Does anyone want to share what are you guys feeling after that meditation? If you want, you can put it in the chat. You don't have to share if you don't want to. Okay. So let me just give you guys a minute if you want to put something in the chat. But if not, I have more teaching stuff. So I just want to say that for me, like I feel like I was really guided by Ceridwen to, lead you guys in that experience. Hold on, let me read the Zoom in a second, read the comment. But I felt like before we could fully open this experience of enchantment, because I think we all feel that desire for enchantment. And someone that I really love, I feel like energetically always wanting to connect with me is like Walt Disney, which is really funny because I don't like, I feel like I kind of have mixed feelings about him as like a human being, as a person, but you can't deny just the extraordinary imagination that he brought, to the world. And so I feel like that's the kind of thing that it's like for him, it's like he fully opened to that magic that was in everything. He fully opened to enchantment. I really feel like what's coming through is this powerful connection between enchantment and imagination. And so I feel like once we start to open our eyes to enchantment, we release all the disenchantment. Oh my God, that's when magic happens. But let me just see in the chat. I think someone had just written something. Oh, okay. So Brittany, you said on the other side was the same castle of the Fisher King. Oh, from a different meditation we did. But it was an abundant feast instead of a wasteland. Oh my God. I get so excited, like the people who have been on the journey with me and gone to all the different meditations. Yes. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the legend of the Fisher King, that is related to the Holy Grail. And there's a castle there, but it's surrounded by a wasteland. So I'm glad you made it to like an abundant paradise. I really love that. Oh, and Jennifer, you wrote you felt an overwhelming sense of freedom. Yes, that is perfect. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. So Bernadette, you wrote freedom and expansion, a lifting of the weight of the ordinary world. Yes. So like that's one thing because I felt like I was like, should I go through the door with you? But the thing is that like you all have a special realm of enchantment. That's the whole thing is each single one of us, I feel like say, let's say we read a book or we watch a movie, it's like we're sharing an enchantment, like we're sharing someone else's vision. And so like, if we watch like the Harry Potter movies, we're all having the same, experience of enchantment. But I feel like each one of us, like our souls, our minds, we are all vessels, unique vessels of enchantment. So the thing that you wrote about when you went through that doorway to pure enchantment, it is going to be different than everyone else who is here, because each of us has a unique way, like a unique frequency of enchantment that is just our pure frequency of enchantment. And so that's, I don't know, like, I hope that kind of makes sense. I feel like that's like something I wasn't expecting to say, but it's coming through. It's just, and I feel like we know this, like everyone, it's almost like everyone has a unique kind of soul energy or like a soul frequency. And I really feel like when we connect with enchantment really has a different energetic signature for every person. And I think that's why it's so hard to define it. So that's just something I kind of felt, guided to say. I hope that makes sense for you guys. And so I'm going to go back into the slides, but before I do, I just want to make sure that there's no one else I'm forgetting here. So Susanna, you said a place, full of endless possibilities, no time, no space, vibrant colors, and full of beauty. Yes. And I think, okay, so there's going to be more writing, in the second half of today. And I want to just like, I want to make sure that I know that this stuff, like I want to be very transparent that I know a lot of when I'm teaching with Ceridwen, this is ancient stuff. So the bards this is really around like 500 AD. This was the time of King Arthur. So I know that like this may seem to some of you, this may seem esoteric, but I really invite you to just open your heart to the timelessness of this magic and really see this. This is a lost art that we are reclaiming. And this is a very sacred way of connecting with creativity, through connecting with enchantment, through connecting with the forces that be. And so now I want to get the slides back, if we could do that. No, can we go further back? No, not yet. No, the other way. Oh, actually, hold on. It's a little further ahead. I'm sorry. Do you want to keep going, please? Yes, here we go. Back that. No. No. Next one. There we go. Thank you. I'm sorry. My assistant has to deal with me because I always I come in with the slides, but then they're all over the place. Thank you, Sydney. So here I want to talk a little bit about the magic of words. So what if I told you that I had a magic word for you, like abracadabra or open sesame? And so I know I open this, I do this thing where I can't contain myself. It's like, I have to tell you everything in advance. So abracadabra, like you guys have all heard this if you've gone to like a magic show. And open sesame is actually from, I believe it's 1001 Nights. It's that classic, Arabian tale. And that is from the tale of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves. And so open sesame is the password. So you've all probably seen that in different stories or different movies. But so I brought these two words to mind because these are the words that we think of as words of pure magic. But there's actually another special word, and I've already told you what it is, but I want you to really start to really think about the magic of words. So I want to share that abracadabra is originally Aramaic. So for those of you not familiar, Aramaic is the language that Jesus spoke. And Aramaic is actually a vibrational language. So there aren't that many vibrational languages left on the world right now. Like I know Sanskrit is vibrational language, but so really there's a lot more happening energetically when we are using, vibrational language like Aramaic. But so it's similar to Hebrew. And so I'm just reading, what I found for you guys online. And so Abra is the Aramaic equivalent of Avra, which means I will create. Kadabra is the Aramaic equivalent of the Hebrew kidubar, meaning as was spoken. And this, it's funny because I actually, on my dad's side, I am half Jewish. So I feel like my ancestors are probably like, oh no, she can't pronounce any of this. But no. But I share this with you because I want us to look at these words together. We have, I will create, as was spoken. And so basically this here is like that idea of the words that you put out into the world, you are creating through these words. And so when we are trying to, like, as writers and storytellers, as we are trying to enchant our audience, we want to have that intention. We really want to be coming into that intention, not just of enchanting them, kind of like that energy of the siren, but that intention of like, I want to pull them into the magic. And I really feel like if we all started our writing, our creating, or even just telling a story when we're with our friends, with that idea of, I want to bring them into the magic, think of how that intention would change the way the story just came through you. Think of how that one little shift would change so much. And so this word abracadabra, I'm sharing with you because most of us think of that as the ultimate magic word. I will create. And as, basically here, you will create in terms of like what you speak into the universe is created, is made manifest. That's what abracadabra means at its core. But there's another really, really beautiful, really special word. And so we're going to actually learn this word. I've already shared it, but we're going to learn it more deeply. And so this, if you can change the slide, that would be awesome. So this is Awen. So I've said this, you heard me when we lit the candle for Ceridwen. I use this word. I sounded it for you here in the space. So Awen is your magic word. And with it, you can do all manner of sound magic and enchantment. So this is a word of power, like abracadabra. It creates pure magic. And so I want to say, like abracadabra, I believe that originally that word was like something that they would use that word to try and heal people who are really sick. And it was this concept of like, really believing in the power and potency of your words to create a different reality. And so here, when we connect with the energy of Awen, so I know that today, like we're really wanting to focus on Ceridwen and we're wanting to focus on enchantment. But I want you to just know, I don't want to go too deeply into like all of these more esoteric teachings, but I want you to know that if you do what I showed you in the beginning and you sound the 3 sacred Awens, you are literally creating a foundation of enchantment for all of your words and for all of your stories and anything that you're bringing out into the world. So I want you just to consider this. How would that change your writing? If you knew like, oh no, when I feel writer's block, when I feel like nothing is coming through, what if I sound this sacred word, this magic word that is encoded, by the way, with all of the magic of Ceridwen, with all of the magic of all of the ancient storytellers of the ages past? This is a word that you can't use it without being connected to all of the forces that be in the universe. I know that sounds like I'm really putting a lot of like emphasis that may be undeserved, unwarranted, but I can tell you from the depths of my heart, the depths of my soul, Awen is pure magic. And it is a word that, like, for me, one of my daily practices is like raising the Awen. So we're gonna do some more magic in a minute with this word, because really when you connect with Ceridwen's cauldron, what you got to experience, that cauldron brews the potion of Awen. So the potion that Ceridwen brews in her cauldron is a potion for limitless creativity, divine inspiration, and enchantment. It also contains the wisdom of ages. And so I feel like I'm just going to sound the 3 Awens just one more time, because I think when people first get exposed to this, it seems like a little weird because they're like, what is this weird kind of old Welsh tradition? And I want you to know that one thing that's coming through is, so for everyone here, I know that a lot of you are like King Arthur buffs because you've done like other stuff with me before. And so in the time of Arthur, there were many, many great bards, but Taliesin was one of the great bards in Arthur's time. And Merlin, there are stories that connect Merlin and Taliesin together. And Merlin and Taliesin, they were both great seers, bards, and prophets. And Merlin and Taliesin, literally, if you actually look at the old stories and the texts that have been preserved, they have almost identical prophecies. And like they have a different energy to them because they really are like prophesied by 2 different individuals. But the prophecy is that all of the indigenous culture of original England is going to be lost. except wild whales. So essentially, when we talk about these ancient practices, I really feel like it's important for me to express to you that this is all that is left of this culture, but it was so important. I really feel this was divinely protected because while so many other things were lost, these teachings were not. It's like the universe would not let them be destroyed. And so, because these teachings of sacred sound, of divine inspiration, these are the teachings, like these are like the teachings of ages. This is wisdom so ancient, so sacred, it had to be preserved. And so that's part of why I'm wanting to share it with you in this space, because a lot of the writers, like the big writers that we read their books or we go and see their movies, they're unconsciously tapping into a magical force. But this force, Awen, to me, this is the chief magical creative force in the universe. And the ancient Welsh, the bards, they were the ones that knew how to tap into it. So it is deeply magical, deeply enchanting. And so I want to actually show you a little bit more about Awen. So can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so I want to share, this is it's an invocation. And so one thing about Ceridwen is she loves her invocations. She really loves these magical spells. And so this one that I'm actually going to read for you, this is not mine, but it is a book by, his name is Christopher Hughes, and the book is called Ceridwen, Celtic Goddess of Inspiration. I'm actually going to show you the book. This is a glorious title, and this is an epic book. So a lot of the stuff I'm sharing with you is like my own gnosis, like my own wisdom that I've remembered and brought through. But there are certain things that like I just feel like I want to share with you because they're so beautiful. And this thing here by Christopher Hughes, I'm going to read this to you, and this is a way that you can summon, that you can call the Awen to you. And so I'm just going to read this out loud. And so this is the song for Awen. And so it's also, I'm showing you here the sacred connection between Ceridwen and the Awen. Because to connect with Ceridwen is also to connect with this very magical force. Many people have forgotten this magical force. Ceridwen is one of the great wisdom keepers. She is one of the people still holding this, still keeping this alive. So Ceridwen, divine, your Awen be mine. Awaken, arise, your wisdom to shine. Ceridwen, wise one, keeper of seeds, arise, I beseech thee, witness my deeds. Ceridwen sublime, by Awen divine, awaken, arise, your magic be mine. And so I just love this. And so I don't know if you could just feel the power and potency of that, but like, I feel here because I really wanted this to be a sacred writing challenge. And these are really sacred teachings. And I want you to really experience the transformation when you actually connect with this force and see what it does to your writing. So I actually am going to invite you to write a similar poem like this, either a praise poem to Ceridwen herself, because this is also a praise poem, or something to invoke Awen. Remember, I said on day one, Awen is this force of this divine inspiration. It is the force of magical enchantment of the written and spoken word that flows through you. So hold on, can we switch to the next slide, please? Beautiful. So I have the same, the same one as before, because I wanted you to have something that you could look at. But I want to invite you to write your own poem or song to Ceridwen, because while this one is incredible, I don't know if you feel the potency, the magic of this one. I love it so much. But it always helps that like we create something with our own voice and with our own conscious connection to Ceridwen. So you've met her. So I want to just give you, this won't be a long time. I'm just going to give you 4 minutes, but I'm just wondering if you would like to connect with Ceridwen by writing a poem in praise of her, or just a poem that's like, Ceridwen, I would like to get to know you better. I would like to experience the magic of words for myself. And you can really just ask her for help to really experience the magic of words, and she will meet you wherever you are. So maybe you are, very like, established writer and you love writing, or maybe you're just new to it. Wherever you are, just try to meet Ceridwen in this sacred writing exercise and just see how she wants to meet you. So I'm going to give you 4 minutes starting now. I'm going to give you guys one more minute. Okay, so you guys want to come back? So let's end the presentation for just right now. Thank you. And I know that you guys have been troopers. I feel like I love this stuff so much. And I was like, it's really my divine intention to like, I really want to activate you like in your writing and for you just to feel alive with the magic of it. But I know these are really esoteric practices. So I'm just curious if anyone had something really good that they wrote that they'd like to share. If not, it's okay. But I just think it's really interesting trying to engage with the goddess like through words, because I really feel like that, like for Ceridwen, it really is all about the magic of words. And I was connecting with her. I know that you've probably heard this before, but really it's like, it is all about like the breath. So for example, the bards of old, they said they were the performers and the storytellers. And so really what would happen is like when you tell a story, it's like the spirit, spirit itself comes through the breath. And, you're really bringing, that sacred energy of source. You're really bringing the mystery and the magic of the other world into form through your words. And so that really is when we work with Ceridwen. It's so funny because I feel like Saraswati yesterday was like this huge force. And Ceridwen really like, she reminds us to love each and every word that comes from our lips. And, there really is just something just so beloved. So it really is with Ceridwen, it's falling in love with the process of putting words together and really seeing words almost like when you are putting a spell together or you are, getting ingredients for a potion. Think of the words that you put together for a poem or a story. Think of them like that. Think of them like this beautiful concoction, this beautiful potion that when it's done, people are going to taste it and have like this miraculous experience. Let me see. Ceridwen, Goddess Divine. Yes, I love that. Thank you, Bernadette. So that's one thing I wanted to share really about Ceridwen. And so it really is this like, and I feel like when we are working with Ceridwen's cauldron, part of what's happening here with the magic is that it's like, it really is the world of spirit being manifest into our 3D reality. So thank you, Sydney. I was like, yes. Oh, so let's see. I think someone read something. Oh, Ceridwen. Oh, Bernadette, you wrote a whole thing. I'm sorry. I just saw the first bit. Okay, I will read this. Oh, beautiful. Ceridwen, Goddess Divine, send me your blessings of awe and sublime. Fill me with magic and wisdom and grace to share with the world and the whole human race. I love the rhyming. Inspire the joy, the love, and the light of healing and oneness and all that is right. I love that. Yes. Oh my God. Yes. And, Ceridwen loves rhyming. That was another thing that came through when I was putting this together. Oh, Nicole, yours came out. Yes, yours came out with rhymes as well. Oh my God. No, it's so funny because I was like trying to figure out what was coming through today. Oh, we have a hand raise. I'll get to there in like 1 second. Oh, we have 2 hand raises. 1 second. But it was so funny because I started hearing like nursery rhymes and they weren't even like English nursery rhymes. I don't know if you know, there's like a French nursery rhyme that's like Frère Jacques, dormez-vous. And so it was so cute because I was like, I don't really even know French at all, but I knew that it was Ceridwen when it was the bards coming through, and they were just like, remember the magic of rhyme. And so I'm just, oh, Michelle, you too rhyming. Yes, that is Ceridwen, because like she loves this. So hold on, Jennifer, I think you raised your hand first and then Claudine. So I'm going to answer you both in order. So hold on. Jennifer, I'm going to add the pin for you. And you can unmute yourself. Oh, what it's so wonderful to see you here again.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here again. Okay, so it was so interesting you're talking about rhyming, because mine came out with some rhyming and some not, but I don't usually write like that. So it's very interesting. Okay, so Ceridwen, Ceridwen, how do I pronounce properly? I'm so sorry.
I think Ceridwen is okay. So it's so funny because I say Ceridwen, but I think that the people who are like really from Wales, like I think that they're like, oh, like I think they probably have a special Welsh way of saying her name. So don't worry. Like she knows who who you're evoking. She knows you're calling her. Don't worry about the pronunciation.
Well, it's weird because I'm hearing you say Ceridwen, but then somehow I don't know if I got nervous, but it came out different. So okay. So Ceridwen, dear creatrix, alchemist, let the magic arise to meet my own eyes. Imagination's reward, creative word is the sword. Speak me of truth and beauty and love, enchanting my work with the beloved. Blessed be the glorious mystery.
I love that. I also love like, oh yes, Nicole in the chat said the same thing. Creative word is the sword. Yes, that was the thing that stood out to me too. Because I love that phrase, like, the pen is mightier than the sword. Oh my God. I love that. Thank you for sharing. I thought that was so beautiful. Yeah, I could feel like I love how you said it was like some of it was like wanting to rhyme and then some of it was wanting to be more free flowing. And I just love that you just surrender to the process and let the word just pour through you. Because that's one thing I love about writing is that like it gets to be your authentic soul expression on the page. So, I feel like that's why what I really feel about writing is I feel like writing is a place to experience true freedom. So yeah, so that's the whole thing so that's why you get to experience the joy and magic of rhyme. And then you get to experience like the things that are coming from deeper in your soul, and just letting them come out and express however they are, however they're meant to express themselves. So I love that.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Let me remove that pin and Claudine, I'm gonna add you. Hi. I was like,
so firstly, I want to share my little cauldron.
Oh, you have a cauldron. Oh my God. It's so cute.
Yeah. And sometime during I had to go run and get my quill too.
I love that. You have a quill. Oh my God, you've beaten me. I don't have a quill. I used to have one, but then I just never used it and just stared at it. So
yeah, right. So I did use it and the ink dried up a little bit, but it's, you know what? I think this dried ink is somehow a blessing. So it's just there to remind me of the power of our words, and it is mightier than the sword for sure. But I had to share because you used a word that is in my poem. So it says, powerful, wise mage goddess, look upon me here and bless my ways, my days, my breath, my breath.
Ooh.
Give me words in a sacred flow. Let me impart wisdom and what I know. To those with ears to hear, bless me. Thank you, Goddess dear.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was beautiful. Oh my God.
I was a little nervous. I'm like, oh, it's kind of corny, but then I'm like,
no,
oh no,
I love that.
Breath, and I was like, oh, okay, I have to share.
No, I love that. I think that's the whole thing is I felt the power while you were reading. Oh, and Jennifer, you have some, I'm going to read, Jennifer, you wrote one in the chat. I'm going to read it for everyone in a minute. But yeah, no, I think that's one thing that I really like to say to people, I think that we get caught up in this idea of things needing to be perfect. And that's the whole thing is that, when we actually take time to just let spirit flow through us, the frequency is there, the energy is there. And that's the transmission. And that's what we're connecting with. So I feel like you just let that flow through you. And it's interesting because
Flow.
the flow and also the flow from yesterday. But no, but at this point, we just heard, I believe, I think we had like, Bernadette, shared a poem in the chat. Like, we've heard different other people, say what came through them. And I feel like every single person had like their own unique frequency that came through. So that's what I think is so powerful when we do these like poems of invocation, is that it's like us connecting with Ceridwen, but also like our frequency, our specific soul note kind of merging with her through the written word. And then when you spoke it aloud through the breath. So that's what I love, is that like when you actually sounded it aloud, it was, again, all of your inner soul magic with Ceridwen's magic merged and one and brought out into the world. So I just love that. And I just really feel like when you share that, I could almost just like feel like all of the vibration just rippling out to all of us. And that is the magic of the bard. That's why I'm applauding like the two people who just shared, because what you both did is like you embodied your inner bard, and the inner bard is willing to bring the words to the world, to sound that sacred sound vibration of beauty and music and magic, and bringing that out to the world. So like, I just think that's one of the most beautiful things that we can do. And not enough people share their work aloud anymore like this. So it is a lost art, but it is so sacred. And one thing that I also feel called to say, I know like many of you might not want to go home and like memorize these, but if you also memorize a poem ever in your life, it becomes part of you. And so like you really take on those words like on an even deeper level into your very being. So especially if you guys, anyone here wants to form a magical relationship with Ceridwen, actually like using the sacred poem that you just created, using it every day, even memorizing it and calling upon this in moments when you really want inspiration to flow, the depth of your relationship with her is just going to be so profound, and the depths of the beauty that you create. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. And I'm sorry, I'm still rambling here, but I just feel like one thing I also love about like you reading that poem for all of us is that I feel like you read the poem and you get to be enchanted. So it's like you enchanted all of us here in the space, but you also got to be enchanted. And I think that's the aim of these poems of invocation, is that we want to be enchanted too. And so I'll stop rambling here. I got so excited. Is there anything before I let you go? Is there anything else that you would like to share? Thank you again. I love that poem.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. And I totally felt that I was embodying the poem, and I felt like a complete sense of being the enchantress and the enchanted at the same time. So totally wrapped within that sacred cauldron and that fire and the Awen. So thank you. This is so much fun, and it is so it's just like the sacredness here of the circle. It's just really a tonic, really, and we really are dispelling the disenchantment and the illusions and breaking down all the so-called veils. That the veils are just illusions anyway. There's like, the veils are not really there. We just think they're there, and everything, we're here and we're strong, and we are Ceridwen herself. We are Saraswati. We are Bridget. We are every great goddess possible. Yes, we are the goddess. We are one with her. She is one with us. And that's, yeah, I can't say that more. And everybody else.
I think you just like this. You have all different parts happening. Yes. Oh my God. Thank you. I just think you expressed that so beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was perfect. Hold on, let me remove the pin. And I think that there was someone else who placed their poem in the chat. Let me just see. Oh, I think people are very excited by your little cauldron. I was excited by the baby cauldron too. And then Pamela, you said that you wrote poems as a teen and still had them memorized. Yes, while my memory tanks on everything else in life. Yes, now when you memorize a poem, it becomes part of you. And I just feel like that is the most transformative thing. I remember I once heard that like I had like a teacher who I think she had to get like, I don't know how to explain it, like I might be saying this wrong, like one of those like MRI machines where like it's like really claustrophobic. And she didn't realize till she was in the machine that she had claustrophobia. She was like, this was so scary. But she basically said that this person, like she as a, as a young, a young teenager, like you, Pamela, had memorized all these poems. And she literally, that's what she did, to get herself through this moment, is she just went through every single poem that she had memorized. Like it was in her heart, in her soul. So again, like memorizing poems, like they become part of you. The words become part of your soul. So I love that. And I think that is it for the people who are sharing. But I'm just like really glad that you guys like actually enjoy, because I always get nervous with Owen because I'm like, oh no, we're really going into some like really old stuff here. But no, so I know that you guys have already been on the call a while. And so I want to wrap up. I want to make sure that we don't go over 2 hours. But so we have another meditation, and there are like 2 tiny little writing exercises. And then I'm going to share an offer like of a way that you can go even more deeply with these goddesses if you would like to. And then we will do our final giveaways. So for those of you who are still here, I'm so happy that that you've hung on this long. But so let us do our next beautiful meditation. And this really, I'm just giving you a heads up. Oh, Michelle, let me just answer your question here. Okay. You're asking about yes. So as the bards memorized the ancient stories, the stories lived on in them. Yes, this is what happened. And it's really interesting because in the traditional, like in these like Celtic cultures, like you couldn't write these things down because they were supposed to be like, these were the sacred teachings. And like, they were only supposed to be transmitted, from one generation of bards to the others. So yes, the stories lived on in them. But it's like one of those things that like, I just love the sacredness of that. And so, yes, the stories lived on in them, and the stories that we're still telling. So one thing I can say, because this gets me so excited, because I am like, a nerd for all different kinds of stories, is that like the story that I just told you of like Ceridwen. And I know that like we didn't go into a whole big version of it. We got the more condensed version here, but like that story has been told for 1,500 years. That story has been told. And I love that, because then the story is alive and it is passed down. And I feel like there's like a timelessness to these tales. And I don't know, there's something about that a story, like in that moment where we're telling a story, we get into an experience that is beyond time itself. So I just love that. There is something about storytelling, about sharing, sharing these old stories, like really like also letting the poetry kind of just like, I feel like it's almost like honey when you read a poem or when you sing a song out loud, and it just really makes the air around you sweet. And this is like a sacred art that people knew. This is like, I think about, like, I always say this, but back in the day, this is again, like the time of King Arthur. Like there was no Netflix. There was, like when the bards came to town, when the storytellers came, that was the entertainment. That was like, you'd be like, oh my God, the bards are here. And so I know that like in the 21st century, we have Hollywood movies, we have Netflix, we have novels, like, so we don't need to like have, that bard performer like the way that we once did. But I think that the thing about the bard that's wanting to come through is just the intimacy with words. And so one thing that I really love, there's a quote by Virginia Woolf, and Virginia Woolf says, words don't ask that we talk about them, but they do ask that we use them. And so it's really coming to this awareness that all of the words we use, each word has its own consciousness, that each word is alive in and of itself. And the bards knew this so intimately. And so like we can take that same knowledge and apply it when we are writing, whether that is, something like, whether it's writing a social media post, whether it's writing something for business, or if you're writing a letter to your friends, the magic of words can be with you in every moment. So you don't have to be a bard of old, from like 1,500 years ago with a harp. But it's just like taking the sacred magic into the 21st century. And that really is Ceridwen's, that is her mission here. Like she wants all of us to remember the magic of words in this sacred way, that it was once taught, that the language was preserved, the sacredness of the words was known, not just by the bards who uttered it, but by all of the audience. And so now I feel like in today's world, we sometimes take the sacredness of words for granted. And so really Ceridwen is asking us to come back into that sacred remembrance of every word we utter, every word that we utter, whether that is to a loved one, whether that is to someone, like maybe we talk to a customer service person on the phone, that every little word that comes from our lips is pure magic. And Claudine, you're writing, words are spells. Yes. And I really feel like words are spells, thoughts are spells, and really seeing like what we create in the world. And I am going to, I also had, we're gonna do the meditation, but I remember that I had 2 things that Ceridwen wanted me to share that are actually like tips to make you better writer, because I also promised I would have some practical things to share. So I promise we're going to do all of this within like, at least we'll be wrapped up in about a half an hour, I promise. So let us, and anyone who has to go early, don't worry, you can catch the rest in the replay. I'm just really wanting to bring through everything that Ceridwen wants to have shared in this sacred space. And so I'm going to do one more activation. This is our last activation for today. There will be, like I said, there's more stuff after the activation, but I invite you to, take a couple deep breaths and close your eyes. And once more, feel yourself return to the cottage where you stood with Ceridwen, and see this cottage just as it was before, with the huge, beautiful cauldron bubbling up. Look at the vials on the walls. And there's Ceridwen waiting for you, tending the cauldron, tending the flame with this huge wooden spoon. She smiles when she sees you. All of a sudden, she takes you to a small corner of the room that you did not notice before. She hands you a huge spell book that is bound in ancient leather. I want you to take a good look at this spell book. See how it appears to you. Is there writing on the front? When you open it, are the pages frayed? And I invite you to really look at this spell book. And here in this space, Ceridwen says, it is time for you to become the enchantress. Not just to know enchantment, but to become it. She leads you, guides you to a very old spell. And this is a spell for enchantment. And she invites you to speak after her. And she says, here in this space, we call in the great, great mystery of enchantment. We enchant our words. We enchant our voice. We enchant our world. Wherever you go, Ceridwen says, may you sow the energy of enchantment. May you see through the eyes of enchantment. May you enchant others when you write, when you speak, when you sing. And now you decide to speak after her. And you utter these sacred words. You say, I call in the great energy of enchantment. Ceridwen, Alwyn, enchant my words, enchant my voice, enchant my world. Wherever I go, may I sow the energy of enchantment. Help me see through the eyes of enchantment, that I may enchant others when I write, when I speak, when I sing. Ceridwen takes the spell book from you and places it down. She guides you over to the cauldron. And just as you did before, you look inside. You see something bubbling, brewing in the watery depths of the cauldron. You look inside. You hear footsteps. And when you look around, Ceridwen has disappeared. And it's just you alone in this room with this sacred cauldron. There's something about the bubbling nature of the liquid inside the cauldron. Look at the colors. Feel the water as it ripples across the surface. Look inside the cauldron and see what you notice. See what you see. All of a sudden, you notice almost a mirror reflection of yourself in the cauldron. But this is not you the way that you have seen yourself before. This is you as the enchantress. Take a good look at yourself. What's the expression on your face? Is there a twinkle in your eyes? What magic do you see? What magic do you feel looking at the sacred enchantress that is you in the cauldron? And in the background of this new version of you that you see inside this cauldron, you see a magical vision of your life, the life that you have always dreamed of and desired, a life that has been crafted and created through the energy, the frequency of enchantment. You lock eyes with this version of you, feeling her energy, her essence. Just take a moment to really look at her. All of a sudden, in that moment where you lock eyes, there is a great gust of wind. The windows of the cottage begin to shudder. The vials on the wall clatter to the floor, and you are surrounded by a swirling purple light. It swirls all around you and the cauldron like a small tornado of pure enchantment. You hold on to the cauldron in order not to fall, to stay grounded. Take a deep breath. A moment later, this great swirl of purple energy ceases, subsides. When you look down into the cauldron once more, the image has faded. It is no more. But you look up. You look down at your hands. You look down at the clothes you're wearing, and you have transformed. In this moment, you have become the enchantress you were always destined to be. And take a moment to just really feel yourself as this enchantress. Know yourself on all levels of your being as pure magic, as the person you were always meant to be, almost as this bright shining star. And as you look into the cauldron once more and catch your reflection, you smile, for you see that you have become her, that you can never go back to what once was, because here in this moment, you have crossed over. You have passed the point of no return. You have become the enchantress, henceforth and forevermore. And wherever you go in the world, you will breathe the magic of enchantment. Whatever you write in the world, your words will carry the frequency of enchantment. And now it's time to think, before you go back to the ordinary world, what are you planning to enchant? What are you planning to create in the world? And here in this moment, we're really calling in a sacred blessing from Ceridwen and the forces of the other world, anchoring you in your power, bring you even more deeply into the energy of the enchantress, knowing this as the new identity you will hold in the world, the new frequency you will carry. And even if you have carried this frequency before, locking it in at an even higher level now, knowing that when you show up to write, when you show up to speak and sound your sacred voice, this energy of enchantment will be with you always. It's time to be the enchantment, to accept that now, to open your full heart to this experience of being the enchantress. I invite you just to see how you feel. And in this moment, though Ceridwen's physical body is no longer present, you hear her in the wind. See if she has any messages for you, any wisdom to share about being the enchantress in the world. Beautiful. And now I invite you to take one last look at this cottage, one last look at this sacred cauldron. Look at the fire beneath the cauldron, warming the embers of this beautiful sacred potion. Look around once more. Take in your reflection. See yourself again as the enchantress. And when you're ready, you can feel yourself transported once more through time and space, back to the room where you first began today's magical journey. And we have another writing prompt, and we can pull that up. We have one longer writing prompt, one shorter writing prompt, and we'll be done really soon. Thank you, everyone. So here we go. This is, I think it's the page before. Here we go. Perfect. So this is your prompt. What was it like to meet your inner enchantress? What does it look like and feel like to really see the world through the eyes of enchantment? Ask your inner enchantress if there are ways you can open your eyes and heart to experience more enchantment in your writing and in your life. So this is just one option. Another thing that you can do if you want to have like a little bit more creative license is just do some free writing now. Just do some free writing and really see what wants to come through, and just let the enchantment, this energy, pour through you. So these are your options for those of you that want a more guided prompt. And for those of you that want to do more like free flow and just let the enchantment pour through, I'm going to give you, I think, just 5 minutes for this one. And we'll start now. 2-minute warning. Okay, beautiful. And if anyone would like to share, I would love to hear anyone who wants to share. But I know that we're nearing the end of the training. So this is totally up to you guys. I know you may be tired. It's like, I feel like you guys are all really good troopers. But so I'm feeling the urge, like I promise there's one tiny final writing exercise for you, and it's going to be super short. But that was our last guided journey. And I'm just curious, like if you want to either share, here or in the chat. Claudine, you just shared in the chat, you feel rejuvenated, let's see, rejuvenated and hold on, let me get here, and awakened by this. Okay, beautiful. Yes, I feel like, especially Claudine, I connect with you for, I feel like you have a lot of that enchantress energy already, but I just really feel that there's something about recommitting. That's the thing, is like, I feel like sometimes we fall off the horse, and like we might have a moment where we fall into disenchantment. And that's why it's so powerful to do these committed practices with the goddesses, like with our writing, because we get to remember the magic all over again. So I love that. And so I'm just going to see anyone else, if you want to share. Oh, Bernadette, you have to leave, but you really enjoyed this. I'm so glad. Okay, thank you. I'm so glad that you were here. It was wonderful to have you. And I hope to connect with you again soon. And so I'm trying to see, I think that okay, I am supposed to like just share some actual writing things with people. And I'm going to make this not too long, but there were two things that I really wanted to share about actually like really having good writing with enchantment. And one of them I call, it's like the law of enchantments. And so here, what I mean by this, a lot of people, like one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen people make with their writing is that they will do like really lyrical writing that it's very beautiful, but the audience that reads it gets lost. And so I want to I'm the queen of this, because I used to have like super lyrical writing, and I used to bring it to creative writing workshops, and the whole workshop would look at me like, what? They'd be like, I don't understand any of this. And I'd be like, this came from my soul. What do you mean you don't understand it? And so that for me, like, was like one of the biggest lessons I learned, like literally in my master's program. I'm giving it to all of you for a fraction of what it cost me to learn it, which really was about when you write, when you enchant, it's really, it's about your soul expression, but it's equally about your audience. And so there needs to be a dance between you and your audience. So when you're writing, like, yes, we want to have like that first burst of inspiration that comes through. But then when we're actually crafting to get our work out there, we really want to be actively connecting with our reader. And the same way we talked about like being the enchantress or the enchanter, and like you're holding that energy, and then you want to kind of put someone into a magical experience. That's what you want to do as a writer or storyteller. And so when you're writing, really casting that sacred intention, if I want to enchant my reader, and part of enchanting your reader is really making sure that you have clarity. It's really making sure that they know exactly what you're saying. So this kind of might sound counterintuitive, but I can promise you, because it's one of like my big life lessons that I've had to learn, the more clarity you have when you are rendering words of magic or words of beauty, that's what your audience needs to really like to enter into that space, magic and enchantment with you. And so I call this the law of enchantment. And so what I mean by this is you don't want to break the spell for your reader, and anything that takes them out of the experience where they have to kind of question what something means or they don't really understand it, that's going to break the spell for them, break the enchantment, and you're going to lose them potentially as a reader. So I'm sharing this with you because it was a super action-packed like day about enchantment, but I wanted to give you practical writing skills. And that is something that is like, if I had one lesson I could like shout from the rooftops, that would be it. For those of you who are, wanting to write books, wanting to write amazing copy for your business, really, it's that dance. When you are looking to enchant, remembering that your reader they're on this magical journey with you. They want to go with you into the magic. And so it's really your job to make everything just as clear and easy for them to understand as possible. And the last thing that I was going to do for today, but I think that we might actually, I feel like because we are at the 2-hour mark, I might not do it. It was going to be one final writing exercise, but I think that I'm not going to do it. So I had another tip, which would have come through with the writing exercise. But I think this is a good segue because for those of you who would like to go deeper into these like really sacred experiences with these goddesses, I actually have something that I'm really excited to share. This new beautiful program that has really come through me, like really, it is from my heart to yours. It's a beautiful program called Writer as Goddess. And I promise, if you're still here, we're still going to do the giveaway at the end. We're going to do like the 3 giveaways for our last day. But I really would love to share about this program. I want you just to know that this is something that this is actually like for me, for those people here who are called to really, get their words out in a brand new way, whether that is through writing a book, whether that is through taking your business to the next level. I have found that working with these like sacred creativity goddesses, it will totally change like the way that people receive your writing in the world. And furthermore, it actually really puts you in touch with the deepest power of your being. And I really feel that over the last 3 days, I've tried to give you a deep soul understanding of the nuances of connecting with the creativity goddess like Bridget, who is eternal spring, where like everything is alive. And she reminds us like to make sure that all of our words are just like beautiful. It's like beautiful springtime. And she teaches us that. And Bridget also teaches us to light, the sacred flame of inspiration. I have this here. Like, yes. And so I have to have props. I love props. And Saraswati, I really feel like teaches us to come into that celestial place of bliss when we sit down to write and create. And, Ceridwen today really serving as a great teacher to anchor our power, to anchor enchantment in the world. And so if this kind of immersion, with these 3 goddesses, if you are called to go deeper with them, my program Writer as Goddess is a 3-month deep dive with these 3 goddesses. You will know them even more intimately, but also there are different goddesses from around the world. So really in this program, you'd also be working with the goddess Hathor, goddess of sacred sound, the muses. Like the way this program really came through me, it's really a sacred experience of all of the ancient storytelling, ancient creative traditions, many of which were lost, but have been, in this moment in time, they are asking to be remembered through sacred journeying, through these kinds of activations, through the writing process. And for those of you who have big creative dreams, this is a way for you to step into seeing your dreams become manifest in the world. So this is a program I just really want to say, I think, my assistant's going to put it in the chat. I don't want to do like a whole big thing about it, because you can just, you can learn more on the landing page. But really what this is, yes, it's a very magical experience, but I'm really calling forward the people. You have a story to tell. You have a story to tell, and you are wanting to take your writing to the next level. Or maybe you have, that there is a book in you, that there is a business, something that needs to be birthed to the world, but words are the thing that are getting in your way. And this is a program to fully activate you in your power as a writer. And so in this program, you would get, we'd have a lot more classes like this. We would also get my one-on-one expertise looking at your work. And this is actually my area of genius. I'm really, really good at seeing people's writing and helping them know just how to craft it, just how to take it to that next level. So if you are interested in that, I believe my assistant is putting the link to Writer's Goddess in the chat. Yes. And if you're interested in being part of this program, we actually have a fast action bonus. So that will expire at the end of the weekend. And the fast action bonus is like 7 days of energy healing with me, and 7 days of energy healing. It's really to burst through all of your creative blocks. So this is my highest level energy healing skills to really help you shift through any blocks to your creativity in the world. So if that appeals to you, you can find out more on the landing page that expires the end of this weekend. I wanted to make sure I gave people a little bit more time with the fast action bonus, because I know a lot of you aren't going to get to watch this till the weekend. So if this program calls to you, if you have any questions, just reach out to me. I am really wanting, to transform your life. The same way these goddesses have transformed my life and my experiences of writing and creativity. I desire that same transformation for you. I want to help you go deeper into your magic so you can create beautiful books and scripts and websites and all the writing that you need if you're starting a business, to really give, I feel like to really give you a way to let yourself come into the world and be seen and known for your unique soul gifts and your unique soul magic. And I'm going to stop going on about this right now. But if you are curious about Writer's Goddess, the landing page has been put in the chat. You can learn more. And now I want to do the giveaway, but I do want to say that because of the technical glitches and difficulties that we had on Monday or whatever, I think our first day was Tuesday, actually, there's going to be a bonus call on the Lionsgate, which is going to be with the Goddess Hathor. This is for the people who signed up for this 3-day challenge. I will send you more information if you want to go. It's going to somehow tie in to all of the creative magic that's been brewing for the last 3 days. But I feel like we're also going to really play with the power of the Lionsgate, because it is such a powerful and potent portal. So that will be, I believe that's on Tuesday, 8/8. And so you'll be getting an email from me with more information about that. This is totally optional. This is just a bonus call because I promised you guys 3 live calls. And I know that a lot of you weren't able to make it to the first call because of the problems with Zoom. So I'm just really excited for that bonus call with the Goddess Hathor. Her presence has been so strong actually for me the whole time I was, putting together this challenge for you. So I really feel like this all was divinely orchestrated for this special extra bonus day with Hathor to happen. So I feel like it's going to be especially magical. It'll be more of that Egyptian energy and definitely sacred sound. But so without further ado, I know you guys have been here a long time. I'd like us to do the giveaways. And so we have actually 3 winners today. So we have 2 regular prizes, and then we also have the grand prize, which is a one-on-one session with me. So let's do the regular prizes first.
Our first winner is
Katerina. Okay, beautiful. I think that like Katerina's won twice, but now she gets 2 prizes. She gets 2 prizes. Okay, so that's beautiful. Okay, so I will I promise, like, everyone who I have not reached out to yet about your prizes, by the end of the day I'm going to be reaching out to you. So Katerina, I believe you won before, so you are going to get 2 prizes. That's really awesome. You were here. So I'm so excited. And can we do the second one now?
Tina.
So
Congratulations.
yeah, I love it. I'm like, I'm waiting for all the confetti before I feel like it's official. Oh my God, Tina, congratulations. Okay, yes, so I'll be reaching out to you by the end of the day with like the different prizes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to share all these prizes with you, like everyone who has won a prize, even like Katerina, who's won 2 prizes. These are really beautiful. I love all of the prizes. So the last one is a one-on-one session with me. This is the grand prize. So excited for who's going to win.
Oh,
Okay,
congratulations.
so congratulations. Okay, so Jean, I'll be reaching out to you personally. Oh my goodness, that was a really close one. I was like, who's it picking? So yeah, so Jean, I'm going to be reaching out to you personally. Everyone who has won a prize, if you haven't heard from me yet, you will hear from me by the end of tonight. Congratulations, everyone. I'm just so happy. I'm just also really grateful to all of you who've been here live these last few days. It has meant the world to me. And I hope that you experienced the magic today with Ceridwen. I hope you really felt like you were able to come into the magic of being that enchantress. And
Also, the winners, if you could put your emails in the chat or direct message them to Elizabeth, that would be really great, just so that we can make sure that these prizes get to you.
yes, that was the one thing, is we were trying to figure out who everyone was. So if you can put your email address, that would be amazing. Katerina, thank you. So potent, pure magic. Oh, I'm so glad. Yes, like I hope that you have enjoyed these 3 days. For me, it was interesting because they all had really different energies, and they all 3 of these goddesses really wanted to present themselves and come through for you. So I don't know if you guys, anyone who wants to go, like the teaching part of the video is like we're complete, but if you would like to share which goddess was your favorite, or which goddess like resonated the most with you, I'd love to hear that. But again, like anyone who wants to go, feel free. Like the teaching part of this is over, but I'm just really curious if anyone had like greatest takeaways with these goddesses. And so let me just see. I think people are putting stuff in the chat. Yeah. No. Oh yeah. No, Claudine, I have your email address. Tina. Okay. Okay. Beautiful. Let me just grab everyone's email address. Okay. Thank you. Okay, beautiful. So yeah, it seems like everyone is, oh, Susanna, you wrote all of them. Okay. So I feel like that too. I feel like they all had such a force, such a presence. So thank you so much for being here with me. I'll be in your inbox letting you know about the Lionsgate activation. I think it's really funny because Claudine, it's hard to pick your favorite. I was like, I know, let me read your message. I'm curious because I knew that you knew who all 3 of them were. And each of the experience was so unique. Okay, beautiful. Okay, let me just kind of grab everyone's email address. Okay, 1 second. I want to grab it, and then I want to say thank you again to everyone. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, no, I just want to just say, like, just from my heart, really thank you for everyone who was here live. Because I just feel like you brought the magic here. Like, that's the whole thing, is like, I know that like these goddesses, like, they were here for you. Like, I mean, like, I think that yes, we were meeting in the sacred space, but like they really wanted to bring their magic through for you. So like, I'm so happy that you answered the call, that you gave me your time, your energy. I feel really deeply honored to have been here with all of you. And so I think that's it. It's so weird because I'm saying we have another call on like 8/8. I'm bad with goodbyes. I'm like, oh no, everyone's sleeping. But for those of you who would like to join me on the Lionsgate, I'll send like an email with more information. There will be a replay of that. Like I said, anyone who signed up for the Sacred Writing Challenge, like, you'll hear about this. It's a special bonus call just for you guys. And you'll also be hearing more about Writer as Goddess. If you are curious and you really want to go deeper into these goddesses, if you really want to go deeper with your writing, just reach out to me, or check out the landing page, whatever feels more in alignment for you. So I'm sending all of you so much love, and I will see you guys on the Lionsgate on 8/8. Sending you so much love. Thank you for being here today with me. I'm gonna end